I've just had my second dose of keto, so I'm a little bit full of energy, so apologies in advance for that. Hence why we're starting standing. So let's do lifting the toes off and the heels. So tiptoes and heels. Tiptoes and heels. Tiptoes and heels. Good. Rest echo. Great. So we're just getting into the flow with this, just getting into a really nice rhythmic patterning, as if we were just rocking on the rockers of a chair. I can feel that the calf muscles and the shins and everything is getting really nicely warmed up. And once you can start to feel that warmth really coming in, you feel all the muscles in the feet and the ankles and the calves. And that's usually your sign to bring it to a standstill. So I'm just going to stand and just feel the feet on the floor. Taking a nice big breath in. And as you breathe out, sinking the feet as if you were standing in lovely soft sand. Let's do one more breath. Breathing in. Feel your feet, and as you breathe out again, sink them down into the floor. And then we're going to start with the funny walk, as it's called. So at the back of your mat, we can come up onto our tiptoes, and we're just going to walk all the way to the end of the mat on the tiptoes, and then all the way back. Okay, and this one we can do twice. It's a fairly easy one to do. So just on your tiptoes, forwards and back. And then we're going to come down and lift the toes up and walk on the heels. So the heels are coming forward, forwards on the mat on your heels, toes are up, and then coming back. And again, another fairly easy one to do. So let's do that one twice. Good. And then we're going to go on the outer edges. So bend the knees and bring the little toe and the outer edges of the feet down so you can feel the outer edge. Little steps, like waddling along. Hence the name Funny Walk, because you do look a bit funny doing it. Luckily nobody's there to see you. And then take the feet a bit wider, knees in. And we're going to walk on the instep, having the big toes down. So make sure those big toes are making contact as you walk. And again, it's a little walk forward and a little walk back. And then as you come back to standing, and again, just feel your feet. You'll notice they feel quite a lot different. Take a breath in. Oh, and as you breathe out, you can sink those feet nicely down into the floor. That final third breath. And you can feel the contact between all of the toe pads, the ball of the foot and the heel at the same time. And we're just going to bring our hands around and turn the palms up and stretch up towards the ceiling, so that we're sinking the feet down and the pelvis down, and we're just stretching all the way up, breathing in. Take a nice long stretch, and then we can grab hold of the wrist and allow us to go to one side. Taking a breath in and reaching with that side, just to have that nice sideward bend to begin with. Come back to the middle, grab hold of the other wrist again. Feel those feet really sinking down as you reach. Good. Keep the hands interlaced or together, and then we're going to do that twisting in a tube. So imagine you're in a tube, so you try not to lean anywhere, and you're just looking over the shoulder, reaching up. Back to the middle, turning the other way. Reaching up and back to the middle. Good, and then I'm just going to let the arms swing down so they feel nice and heavy. Good, And then we're going to bend the knees and just swing from side to side as well. So we've got one side and the other. One side and the other. Again, we're getting into a nice rhythm. Looking over the shoulder. So try and find 2 points behind you roughly that you can scan from and to. And if you start to get a little bit dizzy or a little bit overtired doing this, remember, listen to your body and just stop. And then we're just gently going to bring that back to the middle. Again, just feel the feet on the floor, take a nice breath in, feel the arms nice and heavy. Okay, so 2 arms up. And we're going to go 1 arm forward, 1 arm behind, looking at that thumb behind you. 2 arms up, back to the middle. Other arm forward, other arm back. So you're looking at that back thumb, breathing in. As you come up, breathing out, the arms come down. Scanning your eyes from one thumb without looking up to the other thumb. From one thumb, breathing in and up to the other thumb. Keep going, breathing in and back. If you can't do the breath for whatever reason, don't worry. Just keep that eye scanning going. And we're going to continue with the arms until they feel like they're going to drop off. And when they do feel tired, we just come back to the center. And they just let the arms come down and you'll just feel that sort of orangutan arm feeling and allow that to happen. So now our feet are sinking into the ground. Our arms are like growing downwards. Good, and we've got the spine there ready to do a little bit of work. But we're going to start with a little bit of a warm up first. So let's bring the legs slightly wider. Hands to the waist. And we're just going to start by circling. We're just going round and round. Now, initially, when you first do this, it might feel a little bit rusty, so give it a bit of time. And of course, once it starts to lubricate, going the other way, circling the other way. Good, and then coming back to the middle. And we're going to pretend that we've got a little bell just above the pelvis here. We're just going to ding that up, a little bit like the Instagram poses, one side and then the other. One side and then the other. So we're just dinging the bell, side to side. And again, just feeling what feels a little bit rusty in there and just giving it that chance to warm up a little bit. Good. And then we're going to bring those bells to in front. So we're going to ding, ding, ding in front. That's it. So we're just getting into the groove with that one. And then it's quite easy from here then to take it into that figure of 8. So you ding the bell, bring it round. Ding the other bell, bring it round. Good. And again, we're just really warming up.
Of course.
This area. Yeah, so just keep working with that.
Of course. What's that boy?
Stay here with that for a moment. I'm just going to mute. Only one person muted. Good. Okay. All right, so with that nice sort of warm pelvis, we can then start to shift that lower back into action. So again, slightly wider with the feet. I'm just going sideways so you can see. So we're going to go forward, pushing the pelvis forward and back. So it's like that tail tucks in and forwards, lifts out and back. Tucks in and forwards, lifts out and back. And this is the cat-cow standing up. So you can start to think about that S shape And that C shape, we'll start to bring the upper body in, breastbone forward, upper back, breastbone forward, upper back, and then bring the head in, so breastbone forward, head up and back, and upper back and chin down. So you're really starting to work every vertebra. Maybe you can feel the ripple come right from the lower back all the way up. Good, and then I'm just going to stay here. And just sink those feet a little bit more into the ground and just feel the difference. So you might want to circle. Sometimes when you do these sort of release at the back of the pelvis moves, you know, you feel the need to circle a lot, and just go with that at any point during the session. If it feels a bit uncomfortable, get a few circles in, then you'll see it'll help a lot. So let's start with the back then. We're going to lift the arms up. We're pushing the pelvis forwards, the breastbone forwards, the head back, and as you breathe in, it's as if somebody's grabbed hold of your arms, is pulling you slightly up and back, breathing in, and then bend the knees and forward fold. Keep those knees bent so you can let the spine really come into that C shape, one vertebra at a time, and just feel the weight of the body. Feel each of the spine bones trying to let go so that you can hang. And if you can reach the floor, you might want to grab hold of your elbows so that you can hang them as well. A couple of breaths, and then we're going to uncurl the spine one vertebra at a time. So like a fern leaf, basically. Uncurling, the head will come up last. Good. Okay, so we're going to do another one of those. Breathing in, bringing up the arms, looking up and back, stretching back a little bit further, perhaps this time pelvis forwards. Breathing out, bend the knees, again curl down. And then before you relax fully, you're going to use the hands to breathe in and lengthen and look up as if you were making another S shape with the spine, and then dropping back down again. Letting the head drop. Again, you can grab hold of the elbows. The idea is to really wait long enough to feel at least one vertebra go, oh, I can let go here. And of course, everybody's different, so see how you feel, how long you want to be in there before you come up again. We are going to do a third one. Okay, so this time with the legs a little bit wider. You'll see why when we're down. So the legs are a little bit wider. We've got the arms up and back. Again, pelvis forward, breathing in, looking up and back, stretching back. Really get the most out of that S shape. Bend the knees slightly, breathing in, and once again dropping down. Drop the head, grab hold of the elbow. Good. Now bring the hands to the floor if you can reach. If not, don't worry, just heel toe your heels. Toe the feet a little bit wider. So we're going into triangle pose. And we're going to look up first. So we're looking up, flattening the back, making that slight S shape. You can feel those inner thigh muscles getting a nice stretch. And then we're going to drop the head down. Let the head go, maybe waggle it a little bit. And then we can bring a little bit of breath work. So even though you're sort of in a static position, there is still an S shape as you breathe in. A lengthening going on, and as you breathe out, a C shape. Let the feet sink into the ground. Check your weight distribution. Make sure you're not too far back on your heels. And then we're going to have one hand in the center. One hand, the back. Push on that hand on the floor, and then nice little twist here. Breathing in. You can look up the ceiling if your neck allows it, but it's not necessary if you don't want it. Lovely. And then we can swap sides. So other hand behind, lengthen, turn, lift the arm at the very last moment. And then coming down to that forward bend, letting the head go. Lovely. And then we can heel toe the feet in a little bit. Coming back to this forward bend. Oh, and then we can reach out with our hands. So you might need to turn around. It depends whether you've turned around on your mat or not. Reach out with your hands. We're going to step back into a downward dog. Again, just be aware of your feet and your hand in this. Really feel into the feet. Feel the hands pressing into the floor. And we can start to walk the feet. So one knee in, the other knee in. Get a little bit of a hamstring stretch now. It doesn't have to be strong if you don't want to. You can make it as strong as you want. Walking the feet. And then you can finish off with two. So having done sort of a few little walks, you can then bring two down, just relax there for a moment. And then we can drop down on the knees. Bring the forehead to the floor and just have a little rest here in your child pose. You've got your hands by your feet, relaxing the shoulders. Taking a few breaths. Just allowing that rest to come in. I'm starting to feel perhaps that little moment when the nervous system decides it can just change mode. It might not be happening just yet, but just look out for it. And then when you feel like you are comfortably ready, best way I know is if you begin to uncurl yourself. And if you want to stay a bit longer, you can. We're just going to work a little bit with the hands. So just give them a little rub, warming them up. Getting them nice and warm. If you wish to, and I find this quite easy to, but not everybody does, you can rub your feet and your hands against each other. That brings in that real hand, the foot and the hand mouth reflex will bring a real comfort feeling into the body. So a sense of safety and security and comfort. So that's quite nice. So once the feet are warm, stick the feet together so you can feel the warmth. Bring the hands together, you can feel the warmth there. Just have a moment to feel your feet and your hands. Nice breath in. Breathing out. Wiggle your jaw a little bit, see how tight that is, and then see if you can bring the warmth of those hands to the jaw joint to help it to release. So we can feet and hands and face. And of course, there's lots of things that we can do for the jaw if it's not releasing. So remember, you can do this lovely tapping. It's very good. So you tap all the way down from the jaw to the chin and back to the top lip. And it just helps that jaw to let go. So all that tension. And there is more. You can come up to the nose and back. You can come up, if you get tension headaches, looking at computer all day, up to the top and then up this central line across the top of the head, all the way across, and then down the back and back to that jaw joint. So the tapping, I find you don't have to do it all of the time. So I do this one with the eyes, for example, quite a bit when I'm getting a headache. This thing up and across and over the head is amazing for getting hold of those headaches. But if I'm working on the jaw, I would just do the jaw. Okay, so feet and hands, let's just bring the hands back here, close our eyes for a moment and just feel the feet, the warmth in the feet, the warmth of the hands, the jaw nice and warm. Take a breath in. And release. Lovely. Good. So let's start with this mermaid. I'll come a little bit closer. You can see a bit. So I'm in this position where I've got one foot roughly level with the other knee and the other foot is behind me here. And how you have that foot totally depends on what your ankle can take. But you're aiming to have it sort of tucked in. And then we're going to start with this pelvic tilt. So if you think of your pelvis as a bucket and you're going to tip the contents of the bucket out forwards and then behind. So we're going forwards and back. And you're trying to really feel the movement primarily in the pelvis. So try and keep the upper body. I know it wants to go into an S and a C shape. But at least initially, try to keep it isolated. And if you've done that reflex with me where you've got the hand in front and the hand behind here, it can really help guide that. Yeah, so you're really feeling the lip of that bucket and the water pouring out roughly where your hands are. And it can be really rusty to begin with. So it doesn't have to be a massive movement. It can be very small if that's what your body can take. And it will increase over time. Lovely. Okay, so having warmed that, that's the warm up really. We're then going to bring one hand to the side of the bent leg. And we're going to tip our bucket over this leg. And then bring it back. Now again, it might not be a very big movement. You might only be doing a little bit and then coming back. But you do want to do what you can. And it might feel a little bit rusty in there. And you just want to do it until it feels it's been oiled. Lovely. Good. And so having oiled that a little bit and made it a little bit less rusty, we're going to now tip, pause there and then look over the shoulder. You'll feel this lovely stretch all down the back, at the front of the womb. So that's why for us ladies, you can feel it in that womb area maybe. And then tilt back. And we'll do 4 of those. So we're tilting, twisting, holding for a moment, and then coming back. The movement in and out of this is just as important as being in it. So it's about 4. Lovely. And then when you get back to the front, we're going to swap the legs around. So again, toe roughly parallel. No two hips are made the same, so even in the same body. It might not be so easy on this side, so take it slow, okay? Especially at the beginning. You might want to be sitting on something, you might have cushion underneath your knee or underneath your bottom. And then just give that little bit of input. It might not be massive, backwards and forwards. And you can start to feel there is a moment when it's gone from being a bit grainy to a little bit more fluid. And that's roughly when you're ready then to move on to the next part. So carry on with this if it's not quite got there yet. But if it has, you can then begin to come into this side tilt. So the hand is on the floor, and you're tilting it over. Because it's different how, you know, when you start doing this regularly, and incidentally, this is really good if you've got any kind of menstrual issues, can really help with those. So it's worth doing it every day if you can, particularly leading up to day 1 of the cycle, so that week before. And then once this has become a little bit less grainy, then we can start to do the looking over the shoulder. So we've got the hand on the knee and we're looking over the shoulder as you tip. That lovely stretch in the womb and the back, and then back down to sitting. Lovely. So 3 or 4 of those, hopefully those feel quite nice, and then we can bring our legs into cross-legged position. And we can just consolidate that work in the pelvis by circling. So you can see we're really trying to open out the sacred iliad in the back with those. So, and sometimes it just feels a bit wonky when you're done. So this is really helpful. And then we're just going to move in to give it a stretch. So we're just stretching, bringing the legs out wide. Probably about a bit wider than your mat, really is about right. And then we can start with the tipping first. So pelvis tipping forwards and pelvis tipping back. So again, we're just making sure that everything's happy, because this is quite a strong stretch. It can be. Lovely. And then we can come forward with the pelvis still tilting. So you're still looking up to begin with as you bring the hands to the floor between your legs. Relax your toes. You can drop your feet right down. And then you can start to bring yourself into that C shape. So you're going to tuck the chin in and get the stretch up the back. And you may well notice that you can feel that the lower back is much warmer and much more giving than that upper back. Do just a couple of breaths there to really enjoy that, take it in. This is one of those poses that you can really just spend a bit of time in, relax, breathe, let go of any tension in your toes. And if you want to work a little bit harder, you bring the feet in a little bit narrower and kick the heels a little bit further away. So that's how it gets stronger and stronger. And this is the one that eventually finishes up with your feet behind your neck. Have you seen that one? One day in the next lifetime. But yeah, that's where it's heading. Not that I think that's actually a very healthy move to do at all. But anyway. Lovely. So before we lie down and do some more reflex moves, let's have a little stretch out here with the feet out in front first. So there's 2 stretches, a straightforward forward bend and then what I call the mother's twist. So breathing in, let's reach up and really think about sinking the sitting bones into the floor. So really think about that. If you can't feel your sitting bones, then you can sort of have a little bit of a wobble, a little bit of a walk on there, and then you can easily find them then. Breathing in, reach up and sit down at the same time. And then with that reaching feeling, we're going to go forward, 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 forward. And have a really nice forward bend. Tuck the chin in. If you don't want to stretch your hamstrings too much, or they're really, really tight, giving you a lot of problems, then bend your knees a little. You can always have a blanket underneath the knees or a cushion underneath your knees. And breathe. Feeling that as you breathe in, there's that slight lengthening of the spine, and as you breathe out, you're sinking those sitting bones down, relaxing the feet and the toes. Once you've had a good stretch there, and you can really feel things are much warmer in that lower back, you can move on to the mother's twist, which is where you cross the arms. The lower elbow drops down. You're going to try and look underneath the arm. So you've got a twist here, a slight twist. But don't forget there's also a forward bend. So have that forward action as you breathe in. As you breathe out, let go into the floor and twist, wring out. And you should be able to feel that right in that back bit of the pelvis. Of course, you know what comes next, so you can take as many breaths as you want. If you're really enjoying it and it's the first time this area's had a stretch in a long time, you might want to stay with it. Otherwise, you're going to have a nice little forward bend in the middle and then swap the arms over. Do the other side. That lower arm dropping down, trying to twist and look underneath the upper arm. Forward bend, relax your feet, sink down into the floor. Little twist in that sacrum. Lovely. And hopefully when you do come back up, you'll feel this sense of sinking with the pelvis. Perhaps feeling that back of the pelvis opening out a little bit. And we're going to try and open that out and relax it a little bit more. So let's come onto hands and knees and tuck the toes under. We're coming into a downward dog. And in this downward dog, I'm just going to feel as if this back of the pelvis is being opened out for you. So imagine that there's somebody's hands on those bones and they're trying to sort of move them apart. And as you push through the hands, breathing in, creating space in that lower back. It's like there's a little balloon there in the sacrum opening out and creating space. Let the head go, relax the neck. And of course, to relax the neck, you need to let go of the jaw. So you can feel your feet and your hands and the jaw. Oh, nice and soft. And of course, how long you stay there really depends. When you're ready to come down, we're coming to child pose again. Breathing. Just feeling how the body really wants to give itself to the earth here. Just feeling that body relax as much as it can. When you're ready to move, we are coming onto our front. And I'm just looking up because I need to talk to you. You don't have to look up at all. You can bring your hands one over the other as a pillow and place the forehead on the ground, and then we can start with what's called the bottom roll. So I'm not sure how well you can see this, but the bottom is just rocking from side to side. It's really tiny movement. And we can really feel here all that work that's gone into that lower back. So we want to be very gingerly, very gentle, a very small and effortless movement. We're starting to tune into the rhythm of it. And we'll wander off, just keep bringing it back to that rhythm. And then when you want to, and it feels right, or maybe something's starting not to feel right, I'm going to bring it to a standstill. So we're almost at the 2-minute mark. So any time soon. And as you begin it to stop, just again notice that effect. All that work that we've done has really woken up that area. And now as we stop, we can feel the nervous system learning what it's like to relax this area. And take a couple of deep breaths. Yeah, so we're going to come and just work a little bit on the release of this lower back and the letting go. And we're going to do that by working with the crocodile pose. So this will really teach our lower back even more how to release. So with this, you can have the hands in the position that they're in. But some people like to, especially if you've got a bit bony hips, to bring their hands underneath the body and just rest the hip bone in the palm of the hand so it's not digging into the floor. The head stays down on the ground. And then you just lift one leg up high enough that you can feel this part in the lower back where we've been working activated and perhaps working quite hard. As long as you can feel it, that's fine. You're just going to hold that up until you can't hold it anymore. But more important is the moment when you put it down and you notice how it relaxes. And you can feel the difference between the two sides there quite clearly. And then we do the same on the other side. So we lift the other leg up. Again, just holding it for as long as feels like you're really working, and you've really identified the area. You don't want to overdo it and cramp it. So it's just to get that sense of, oh, that's how I release it. Once you've done individual sides, let's try to do both legs together. And feeling that whole area now really working hard. And then as you bring it down, really release and relax. Now, for some reason, this works better done twice over. So let's do that again. Lifting up perhaps a little bit higher to work a little bit harder, if that feels all right for your back. And really tuning into that relaxation as you let go. And then doing the same thing on the other side. You don't want to overdo it, so make sure that you just let go when it's red time. And then the final one. 2 legs together. Might be getting a little bit irritated, so do stop sooner if you need to. And really concentrate on that letting go. You can release the arms, bring them back to pillow, make pillows. And then we can just, you can even wobble, go back to the bottom roll for a moment and just see how that feels now. It's a bit different. And then we're going to come up onto our elbows into the Sphinx pose. And then what we can do is we can turn the feet out and the heels in. And then we can just rest. We're not going to do anything here, but just wait for that lower back, that nice soft and relaxed lower back to really begin to melt a little bit. So as you breathe in, there's a little pull upwards, a little extension, natural extension. But as you breathe out, it's like, oh, let it go into the floor. Now, everybody's threshold on this one is different. So listen to your body. When you feel ready to finish, just bring the toes back in. And bring yourself down to the floor for a moment. And then push yourself up. And we're going to counterpose that and move slowly into this child pose again. And just feeling the effects of that bottom rolling that we did, that was so nice. And thinking about those circles that we made, those, you can really feel that we're loosening that tail quite nicely. So as I said earlier, at any point that you feel like, oh, I need to do something, then circles are the thing to do. So it might be a bit difficult in child pose, but you know, you can sit up, you can sit on the bottom, you can do them any old place, but just get those circles in. It's quite nice as well on hands, and that cat-cow sequence where you circle the tail. You know, any of those where you're just getting those circles in will be really nice at any point during any of this stretching. Okay, so you choose which one you'd rather do. I quite like this sitting one. I find this one really nice. Just, it's quite, but it's optional. They're all different. And the reason we're doing that is because this next one is the pose that we've been building up to. So not the easiest of stretches to do, but really good for this back of the body. So I'm just gonna, I've not done this one on Zoom before, so bear with me. I'm gonna turn around so that you can see my legs, okay? So what I'm doing is I'm lying on my front. I've got my legs up to the side and my feet together. And what I'm gonna start to do is work my toes down towards the floor. That's it. And it looks like it's an easy one to do, but it's not. So have a little play around with it. So you're lying on your front and you're just bringing one leg up to the side and the other leg up to the side, and your pelvis is going to lift right off the floor. You bring the feet together and you're doing a dual thing where you're trying to bring the feet back towards the ground and trying to drop the pelvis down. So it's quite big for the hips, this stretch as well. Hence why we warmed up the hips. Works on that connection in the back of the pelvis all the way down the leg and into that sacroiliac area. And all you can do once you've got the stretch is breathe, relax as much as you can, so feel your feet touching, relax your jaw, back of the neck, be aware of your hands. And you're kind of waiting for it to melt. This is one of those poses that they do in yin yoga where you get pillows put all over you and then you're supposed to spend like 5 minutes in it, hoping that something's going to let go. So if you feel any tightness in that lower back at all, just in your mind's eye, have that memory of the bottom roll or of the circle. Now, when you want to come out of this, the easiest way is to gently lift the feet up and the knees in, and then just rest the legs on the floor for a moment. Give them a break. Lovely. And so before we go up and we counter pose this, hopefully with that pubic bone really settled into the earth and the back of the pelvis really soft, we can do a nice cobra here. So we've got the hands below the shoulders and push up and back, bring it into the upper back. We can feel the difference. That lower back's really soft. Breathing in, looking up. Nice long stretch. You might even get away with doing the one with the feet up. It's a bit stronger, but it's so warm down there that it should feel okay. But then we're going to push up and come into that child pose. So powerful child. So this is where the arms remain outstretched and you're just gently pushing through the hands, trying to get that tailbone right down towards the floor. And then we can come up onto hands and knees, tuck the toes under, bring that into the downward dog. You can feel the difference in the downward dog quite a bit. You feel how warm that lower back area is compared to pretty much the rest of the body, really. Relax your feet and toes. And then we can drop down onto the knees. Keep the head low again just for a moment while the blood sort of stabilizes, because that is an inversion. And then we can uncurl. And what we're going to do next anyway is lie down. So you might be feeling the need already. I'm going to do a few little reflex moves and a few little soothers here on the floor. So as you come to lying down and you put that lower back onto the floor, it's like, oh, you can almost feel it spread itself out beneath you. So just enjoy that moment as the lower back goes, oh, at last. For all that stretching, a nice little rest. But then we're going to bring the knees up and we're going to keep the knees together and just do this very gentle rock. So it's just a very little movement, just like the bottom roll, but this way up, just as small. So after a minute or so, you start to feel that, oh, okay. As we bring that to a standstill, just notice the effects on the lower back. It melts hopefully a little bit further. Notice the relationship between your sacrum and the back of the neck. You'll feel that there's a little release in the sacrum. There might be a little release in the back of the neck and jaw too. So just feel into that. And then we're going to start to go from side to side, a little bit bigger this time though. We're actually drawing a line from one hip to the other on the floor. And then we're going to come back to the middle and start to bring the knees in and out. And we're drawing a line up the spine. As if we had like a blob of paint on the floor, we're spreading it up and down the spine, drawing a line on the floor. And then we can see, like, where do those two lines cross? So let's go from side to side again. And then back and forward again, and just figure out, where do those two lines cross? And wherever it is that you find they cross, bring the weight of your legs to sit down on that spot. Feeling that spot spread a little maybe. And it's as if we've got a little pot of paint on that spot that we're going to circle. So we're just mixing with the paintbrush, the little pot of paint, just below very small circles. And then we're going to start to spiral out. So we're just making slightly bigger circles, until we're doing the biggest ones we can manage comfortably. And once we've done a few really big circles one way, we're going to change direction. And then we're going to start to spiral that in. Back towards that paint pot in the middle. And when you come to land, you can freely feel that space there in the lower back. Breathe a little breath into it just to really expand it. I'm going to bring one foot down onto the floor. And if you find it comfortable enough, you can lengthen that leg. Keep one leg up. And then we're going to pull in this knee as far as it will go. Give it a good stretch for the back. It's really amazing stretches for the back. And then when it's as far in as it's going to go, we're going to start to push down through the bone into that spot. And perhaps feel something there melt away a little. Again, notice that little tightness in the back of the neck. See if you can let it go. Let go of your jaw. And then of course you can stay with that for as long as you like because you know what comes next. So we're swapping sides. You can straighten or bend the knee, it's up to you, whatever's more comfortable. Bring this other leg in towards you as much as you can. And then when it's as far as it's going to go, start to push down through the bone, through the femur into that spot. Trying to get them to really relax and spread across the floor. When you're done both sides, it's quite nice to finish with a little push, pull in and a push down for both sides of the back, just to even them out, or even just a few little circles. Especially if it's felt really uneven, the circles can really even things out. And then we can place the feet on the floor. I'm going to have the feet touching and the knees touching for now. Just let everything melt for a moment. And then we're going to come into this next reflex move, which is quite a strong one. So this is where we just start to drop the legs over to one side. We're not going into a twist. They're just coming so far over. But you're working as slowly as you possibly can. So the movement is going to take you like 15 to 20 seconds to get to one side, and then another 15 or 20 seconds to lift it back up. Both feet stay on the floor because it's not really a twist. And then again, another 15 to 20 seconds as it comes down on the other side. So it's really slow. It's going to take you almost a minute just to do once on each side, and then we're going to do it again, but only if it feels right. So if you start to get any of those sort of nervous system red flags that say, oh, this is a bit too much, then just stop. Lovely. So when you're done with that, you might well feel like stretching out the legs and just having that little moment to go, oh, and just feel the weight of those legs as they're really beginning to let go now. And if you want extra letting go, so if it's not quite there for you, then TikTok is quite good here. So you can have a little go at that. This is where we've got toes in for tick, release, tock, tick, tock, tick, tock. But it's not for everyone. Your lower back might have just melted itself into the ground and you don't want to move at all, and that's okay. This is only going to happen for a minute or so anyway, this tick tock, before we move on. So remember, you're still lying down for this. I'm just sitting up so that I can see. Lovely. So just, if you're tick-tocking, let's bring that to a gentle stillness, and again, just aware of that release. As you feel that release in the lower back and the legs, just tune in as well into the neck. There is this quite close relationship from the back of the sacrum to the back of the neck. For those of you that have ever had cranial sacral therapy, you'll know all about that. So we'll just do a little bit more stretching before we come into relaxation. We're really very much almost there. You might have had enough and want to start with relaxation already, and that's always fine, but we're just going to work a little bit on this neck. Okay, so we've got the knees bent, and we're going to interlace the fingers and place the hands behind the head. The slightly easier version of the one with the legs straight, this, just because the lower back has had so much work on it already. We want to just make it slightly easier. We're going to lift our head as if we're trying to make ourselves look at the breastbone. Lengthen the back of the neck, sink back into the floor. You might have found a little tension come into your lower back. See if you can make it melt back down again. And then as you decide to come down, make the head really heavy in your hands. So basically it's your arms that are doing all the work. Keep that chin tucked in so it's nice and long. Let the hands come to the side. Just feel that connection between neck and lower back. Relax your jaw. Be aware of the feet and the hands. And then we're just going to do one little bridge pose. And just be very aware that as you do the bridge, that you keep that lower back as soft as it is. You don't want to tense it. So as you lift up your pelvis, bring the arms up and over and behind your head. So we're going to go straight into this stretch. So the back of the neck is really long. Try to keep the lower back soft as possible. Remember, the push is coming through your feet and your legs. Your back is still molten. And you're reaching at the very end. You're going to reach with the hands. Take a nice breath in. I'm just going to give that diaphragm a really good stretch, because when you come down from this, if you keep reaching, as you get about halfway down, you'll feel that pull in the diaphragm. So stop there, take a breath. Those of you that know the Morrow moves, perhaps you can think of one or two here that might help you release this. Bit of south dancing, bit of twisting and turning. And once it's released, you can continue that journey down. Keep that reach going though with the arms until the back of the pelvis touches the floor. And then you can release the arms completely, maybe even bring them to your sides. And then we can bring our arms to a T shape, ready for our twist. So we haven't done a lot of twists today, so now's the time to really take your time. So we're going to spend quite a lot of time in this twist and try and relax as much as possible. Bring the foot to the knee and push that knee over so that you're rolling that twist nice and gently. You'll feel that lower back is really malleable, but the upper back not so much. Perhaps a bit of tension in the shoulders. Then you're going to turn the head towards that shoulder that's lifting off the ground and do your best to drop it down. And breathe. You can have the other hand on the knee if you're quite flexible to give it that extra bit of stretch. And like I said, as much time as you need to really get everything to relax your legs, lower back, the arms, the shoulder. Think into your jaw, releasing in the jaw. You know, what comes next, so make your own decision as to when you want to swap sides. Put on the knee. That's all you've got to remember. Push it over, the lower back, really manual upper back. You see my shoulders lifting off the ground there, but I'm just going to work to relax it back down. Keep that jaw and that back of the neck soft. Hopefully when you come back to the middle, you'll feel now that it's not just the lower back that's sort of melting into the floor, but a little bit of the upper back is starting to now as well. It's as if there's two giant hands, one underneath the pelvis and one underneath your upper back, holding you. Final stretch before we do some more reflex moves in order to prepare for relaxation is going to be the fish. So we've got the legs out in front of us, elbows tuck in, we'll push up through the elbows, looking up and back. Again, try to relax that lower back against your legs. There's a stretch in the back of the neck there, relax your jaw. Breastbone nice, hopefully, and released. I haven't done so much work on it as I meant to, but we can do a couple of things now when we relax. So again, as you come down out of that fish, you'll notice that real release into the floor. Those two areas really sinking down into the ground. And so here I'm going to give you options. We can start, you've got a reflex move to do to get ready for relaxation. So you've got the option here of doing the knee bend rock, which is the one that was sort of in the plan. But if you want to work on the morrow, so this is sort of the more emotional side of things, we've got this one where you're on your side, you're using your arm as a pillow, you've got the hand here, and it's exactly the sort of same movement, only instead of being managed by the feet, this movement is managed by the hand. And if you are doing, this one's called the fetal rock, if you are doing the fetal rock, remember you've got to do both sides. So as soon as the arm sort of starts to get a little bit unhappy, you want to roll over and do the other side.
Remember, we're taking a couple of minutes maximum with these reflex rocks. And we are coming up towards the end of those 2 minutes. You might have already started to feel that. So listening out for the body. Hopefully you've got a blanket or something warm handy. If you do have to adjust yourself to relax, you might find that you need to start the relaxation with the knees bent. We have had some quite serious input into the sacrum area. And just feel that those two hands that we're talking about, or maybe it's four hands, two in the sacrum, two underneath your shoulders, shoulder blades, letting your body sink into the floor. So I call this the angel relaxation. I do this one for myself quite a lot, and I don't often share it actually, so privileged tonight. We're just imagining that there's a couple of angels one with its hands beneath the sacrum holding you, and one with its hands beneath your shoulder blades, and you can just sink into those hands and know that you are safely held. And there's another angel at your feet, placing their hands on the soles of the feet. So you can feel that warmth in the soles of the feet. And that warmth travels up through the feet and ankles, all the way through the legs, right to the hips, to meet the warmth of the hands of the angels, those holding your sacrum. And that warmth in the lower back, spreading as if the angels could spread light through your body. Or maybe it's a colour for you, or water. Feel it spreading through the pelvis, through the organs in the pelvis, around, wrapping itself around the front of the pelvis, around the belly, travelling up through the backbones to join the warmth of the hands of the other angel holding up your upper back. Feeling that warmth spreading through the breastbone and like a fountain coming up into the chest. Spreading out across the breastbone and into the throat. Through the throat. Down through the shoulders. And you have one angel either side of you, one to your left and one to your right, and each of them is holding your hand. And you can feel the warmth, the palms of the hands and the backs of the hands where they're holding you. And that warmth travelling up through the hands and wrists, through both arms to the shoulders.
meeting that warmth in the chest. And then it's as if there's an angel hand in the back of your neck, cradling your head. One hand on the cradle of your head and one hand on your forehead. Holding your cranium, safe and relaxed. And the warmth spreading through the throat and the neck, into the jaw joint, across your face, crown of the head. Both those hands radiating that warmth through the body. And so you can feel these 6 angels, one at your feet, one at each hand, one in your lower back, your upper back, one on the head, all holding you so that you can completely relax. There's nothing that you have to do, nowhere that you have to go. You can just be held in this safe embrace. And as you breathe in, you can feel the whole body safely held, able to melt into these hands completely. And then as you breathe out, allow yourself to surrender into that hold. Breathing in just with that awareness of these hands holding you. Breathing out, surrender, letting go, allowing yourself to be held. And sometimes perhaps just having those sense of both of these things happening together, being held and surrendering at the same time. And just allow your attention to come back to the body for a moment. Just feeling it in its relaxed state for a few more moments. You may well want to just stay here. Of course, you're at home, so you just can. But if you are having the need to move, just begin by moving the breath, letting it be just slightly deeper. Moving fingertips and toes as you're a little bit more ready. When you're ready to roll onto your side, just have a moment or two there. Just orientating in the room a little bit more. Lovely. Well done, everybody. I'm just going to turn the recording off.